Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Phantom here, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. So in this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to spend your training points, because it's come to my attention that a lot of you actually don't know what to do, or what spells to train, or what spells not to train, and stuff like that, because I swear I get this video suggested once per video. Like, I don't know, it's like absolutely crazy. So anyways, a lot of you guys probably wanted this, and I don't know, I guess there are some people who, are joining back to the game who haven't played in a while and everything, and honestly, it's pretty understandable. So anyways, guys, I'm going to be teaching you what spells to train with your training points, what spells, not to train with your training points, obviously, because there's a lot of spells that you should not buy, because there is a lot in this game, but most of them you're really actually not going to need, and you should actually conserve most of your training points, but there is some essential things that you will need. So anyways, guys, let's get into the first spot, basically, where you're going to get your first couple spells with your training points. Now, the absolute first thing that I always like to train on every single one of my wizards, guys, let's go to the death school here, because I believe every wizard, honestly, regardless if you're a hitting school or a support school, whatever, you're gonna need this spell, okay? So I always train up to faint, basically, in the death school. So obviously, what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to train every single death spell up until you get faint, and then no more, basically. So don't train in Doom and Gloom. Don't train in Wraith. You don't need the entire Death School in your arsenal. That's just useless. I mean, obviously, unless you're Death, you're going to be getting those spells anyway, but all you got to do is train up to Faint right here. It's a really, really useful spell, really, really offensive. You're just going to be using it all the time, and honestly, I see most people rocking Faint in their decks, which is good. Obviously, you're really going to want this. It's definitely an essential, and it's the first thing that I always get on every single one of my wizards, because it just makes questing so much easier and just allows you to output so much more damage even if your stats aren't the best. So I definitely go for that first. So train up to Faint into the Death School, but don't train any other Death Schools, because you're really not going to need them. But yeah, Faint is a necessity, and I do see a few people out there who don't use Faint, and guys, I'm just saying, you should probably direct them to this video, because Faint is an absolute essential, guys. The next thing that you're absolutely for sure going to want to train in, guys, I would advise you to train up to Seder, okay? And I know what you're thinking, why don't you have Seder trained up on this wizard? And honestly, guys, I'm not actually sure. I think I rebought my training points like a little while ago, and I never really trained up to Seder in here, and honestly, I probably should, but I guess as a fire wizard, I don't know, like as a max level fire, you don't really need it, per se, but it is really good for early game, and I definitely advise you to train all the way up to Seder here. Don't train into Centaur, don't train into Sanctuary once again. I think, obviously I don't think these spells are very useful. Some people like to go all the way up to Sanctuary, and if you do that, I mean, I can't really stop you. I just probably wouldn't advise it. I would just say going up to Seder is enough, because obviously it's a very good heal. It's gonna help you, in a lot of different situations. It's kind of like Faint, but for life. Not really, but it is a heal, and it's really, really good, so I definitely advise you to train up to Seder here. I honestly might do it myself in a little bit, because I'm kind of now questioning my reality and why I don't have Seder trained up on this wizard, but it is a very good spell to get. It is a very good heal, and I definitely advise you to train it. It will help in your questing endeavors for years to come, guys. Honestly, Seder has not gone out of style, and it's definitely worth to train. The next spell that I think is very, very worth it to train, guys, is from the Ice School. So, you're going to want to go up to Lydia here, and you're going to want to basically train up into Tower Shield, guys. Don't train into Ice Wyvern or Blizzard or Balefrost or Colossus. All these spells are pretty much useless if you're not, like, an Ice School. I mean, obviously, that should be obvious, but honestly, it's not obvious to some people. But basically, just train up to Tower Shield, guys. The spell, if you don't know what it is, it looks like this. It's minus 50 to the next spell that's going to come at you. It's a really, really useful spell. I mean, universally, honestly, it's really, really useful, because it takes away half the damage of literally any spell. So I don't really know if I have to explain it all that much, besides that it is a spell, not essential, in my opinion. It's not essential, like, you don't need to train into it. Like, if you want to save your training points, that's fine, but I would advise you do so, because honestly, it's a really, really good spell, in my opinion. Lydia, thank you for Tower Shield, but I hate you. Okay, we're moving on. The next couple spells that you should most definitely train into, guys, are going to be from Niles here, the Balance Tree in Krokotopia. In the Krokosphinx, guys, you're going to want to train into, well, I guess it depends on what school you are, but basically, Niles sells Elemental Trap, Spirit Blade, and Elemental Blades. So, depending on what school you are, let's say, if I'm Fire, which is the wizard I'm on right now, I'm going to be wanting to train into probably Elemental Trap and Elemental Blade, which is why you don't see them here, is because I already have them. Basically, these are just literally extra blades and extra traps that will make you do more damage, make you output more damage. Honestly, they're just really good spells to have. What can I say? I don't obviously have these ones trained because they're not useful for me, but if you are a Spirit School, then I highly recommend training these from Niles. The good thing about Niles is that you can come right up to him and you don't have to train into like a school like you would with, like, let's say Tower Shield or something like that. You wouldn't have to train up to level 16 as long as you're like level 20 and 25, because these are the requirements. The traps are level 20 and then the blades are 25. If you're basically past level 25 or you are level 25, you can train any of these spells at any time without any like prerequisites or anything like that. So that's really nice about Niles. Literally, these are more blades and traps, so I just highly recommend training these because they're literally the same as a blade. Just do more damage. I mean, who wouldn't want to do more damage, honestly, guys? Anyways, let's move on to the next area. So this next spell comes from a trainer very, very far away in Colossus Boulevard, located right about here in this little snowy house cottage thing. And basically, you're going to want to learn the spell from Mildred Farseer, the secret witch trainer. She's going to teach you Reshuffle. Really what this does is it's a balanced spell. You actually get it at level 20, which I did not know about. Huh, that's pretty good, actually. So you get this spell, Reshuffle. Basically what it does, whenever you like run out of cards in your deck, or you know, almost run out of cards, or want new cards or whatever, you're gonna want to cast this. It's pretty much gonna give you all your cards back in a random order. So I mean, obviously you can see why this is really useful. Literally whenever you run out of cards, you can, you know, do this. If you pack like a smaller deck setup, this could be really useful to have like a couple of these in here, you know, whenever you might need them. So anyway, that's really useful. I feel like, I don't know, this is probably one of the more unpopular places to train spells. I mean, you can also get dispels from her as well. You can get all the dispels if you want all the dispels, but you can also get your spells, your school's dispel for free, actually, so it doesn't cost you a training point. So I'd recommend picking that up along the way just because it's free. I mean, like, you know, why not, really? Why not? But anyways, that's where you get Reshuffle. Honestly, very, very important spell to have. Yes, I do not have it trained, but you should definitely train it. I definitely recommend it. The next kind of spell that you're going to want to train into, guys, comes from this Sun School trainer in the Floating Land, which is located in Celestia, as you can see right there. So these spells, I would say they're pretty much absolutely essential. And no, they're not these spells. They are actually the spells that, here, I'll just show them to you, really. Actually, it'd be better that way. They're basically like these enhanced spells. So the ones that you learn from this guy are going to be, you're going to learn Strong, you're going to learn Giant, you're going to learn Monstrous. I'm pretty sure are the three that you're going to learn from this guy right here. So he's going to teach you those three. You got to be like level 50 and then 52, then I don't know, it scales. You'll see, you know, when you go to that certain vendor, you'll see how the level scales for each one of the spells, but that's where you're going to want to get your first Sun spell, guys. Yeah, this is where you're going to want to go for your enchants and everything. Obviously, these literally just make the spells do more damage. I think they're just absolutely essential to have, and you should definitely train into them. Anyways, on to the next place. Alright, the next place is going to be the Stellarium, which is located in Celestia. It is another area there, and this is where you're going to want to train some iconic star spells. So there's just going to be trainers literally right here. Both of these trainers train the same spells, I believe. This is where you're going to get your Fortify, Amplify, Infallible, Vengeance, Empowerment. You can train these as you please. This is more of just like your choice. Like personally, I don't use any of these spells because I just feel like I don't really need to as a fire. I feel like there are just better options for me, at least. But at the level, these can actually be, you know, pretty good at like level 58, 56, and, you know, so on. Really just use them when you please and kind of train them as you please, but I think they're very worth mentioning because these spells are definitely useful, and I would definitely recommend buying some of them. I do think they're really good. Obviously, like, Infallible is really good in PvP. Vengeance can be useful if you have low crit. Honestly, I think these are pretty decent spells, and yeah, like I said, you can really train them as you please and everything. It's really your choice when it comes to these. So the next trainer that you're going to want to be taking a peek at, well, we're going to jump ahead right to Zafaria here in Zamunda, right through Zamunda outskirts, blah blah blah. You go in the little, you know, compound they have here, and you're going to want to do a quest to unlock this little Star School trainer and repair the obelisk. So what this gives is, obviously it gives Mend, which is a pretty good spell. I mean, for, you know, I would say life, this is pretty useful for. I don't think any other school would probably find that much use out of it. The sound effects from this obelisk are really weird, by the way, but lives would probably find some use in it. But a very good spell that this obelisk actually gives is one that I have trained already. It is Berserk, guys, and really what this does is obviously similar to a lot of spells on this little guide here. It makes you do more damage, 40%, I think. Okay, it makes you do 30% extra damage, but you also take in more damage, so, you know, it's kind of a bit of a trade-off there. At least I think I'm getting that right. Hopefully I'm not messing this up. Incoming damage damages you, right? I'm pretty sure that's what that is. So you take 40% damage, but you also deal 30% extra damage. So this is worth it for me, at least, because I'm a really, really good, I'm a really, like, you know, efficient hitter, and I think every hitter should probably train Berserk. even though it is like a bit of a risk putting this up, I think it's a really, really good spell to have, just mainly for the hitting schools, but really any school could train this and make good use out of it, guys. Anyways, let's move on to the next trainer. So the next trainer, guys, is going to be the Sun School trainer that you get in Drum Jungle here. It's, you know, located right there as demonstrated by the map, guys, but this is another obelisk that you get in Zafaria. Really what this obelisk sells, slash, you know, is a vendor for, you can get Extraordinary, which is like an upgraded version of all those like accurate spells and pierce spells, but the main thing that you actually get from the Sun School trainer here is, here, let me, where is it? It's in Astral Spells. You get Colossal. This gives you Colossal, right? Obviously you get all these prerequisites from the Celestia trainer, I believe, and then you get the upgraded version, which you'll be using for a very, very long time, which is Colossal. Literally just more damage added onto your spell, so obviously, you know, it's really, really good to throw this in here, because it's literally just upgraded, and obviously, it'll help you a lot in questing and everything, and doing more damage overall, guys. So, anyways, let's move on to the next trainer. So, the next spells that you're going to want to train, guys, are in Azteca, 3 points, blah, blah, blah. They're from these little like Sun School trainer and Star School trainers here. These little like statues here are going to give you the spells you want. So from the Sun School trainer, obviously you can train Primordial, which is shown here, but 2 things that are absolutely essential to your survival as a wizard that you're going to want to train from this Sun School trainer right here. I don't know why I keep pressing I, I'm sorry about that, but 2 things that you're absolutely going to want are Sharpened Blade and Potent Trap. Literally, I think everyone knows what this is. At least I hope everyone knows what this is, at least for the people that have gotten to this level before. Really, this just allows you to place an extra feint on the enemy, because obviously the feint stack, because this adds 10% to an already existing feint, and then this, you can literally just sharpen your blades, make them more powerful, and then stack up even more blades, doing even more damage. So these spells are honestly really, really OP. They're a major turning point when you get them in Azteca, and yeah, so the next little spell that you're going to want, I think you're only going to want 1 spell from this Star School trainer. So basically they have select auras for each one of the schools. Let's say if I was Death, I would train Virulence, I would train Reliquary, I'm not even going to try to say that, but you train Reliquary if you're Myth, and then Balance, Punishment, yeah, blah blah blah. There's a few of them for every school. Mine that I trained, which you don't see currently because I have it trained, is there in Astral Spells. It is Furnace right there. That is the aura for fire. It gives a pretty decent amount of damage, as well as, you know, some other little benefits as well. So that's what you're going to want up next. Honestly, that aura is kind of a game changer as well, but these Potent Traps and the Sharpened Blades, really, really essential spells to have. I highly recommend training into these guys. Anyways, let's move on to the next area. So for the next set of spells, you're going to want to go up this little moon bridge into the Shadow Eclipse Tower, because obviously, well, it's about the time, if you're watching this, for you to learn shadow spells, guys. So I believe if you go to Arkran, yeah, he sells nothing good. I'll get into why moon spells are bad in a second, but basically you're going to want to come over to Sophia Darkside after you've done all the quests. And she's going to have a couple spells for you. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be 3 here. Actually, no, there's not going to be 3 because you're going to get one from doing the quest already. And I believe on this character I got Shadow Sentinel, which, you know, obviously is a very defensive shadow spell. And then you're going to also, you're probably going to want to get Shrike. That's probably the best one that they have here. Shadow Seraph is really good for life wizards, but Shrike is honestly good for literally every type of spell, because obviously it focuses on dealing damage and piercing through armor, which is obviously really, really offensive and really good for a lot of spells. So I recommend Shrike. I recommend Seraph, and if you're an Ice Wizard or maybe even a Life Wizard, I definitely recommend training into Sentinel as well. So those are the spells. Very, very useful. Very, very different types of spells too. Shadow spells are really, really interesting. But anyways, let's move on, guys, to the next area. Now, these next set of spells are going to take you all the way to the Arcanum here. I'm sure most of you know where the Arcanum is. I don't know why I showed it on the map, but you're going to want to go into the Astral School here to train your next couple bits of spells here. So go over to Q-Burn, Stellar Gaze here. So this is kind of interesting. So this vendor, actually, if you're like max level and haven't trained any of the spells, which, I mean, I definitely haven't trained a few, but I don't know why anyone wouldn't train like a lot of the spells, but basically, I'm pretty sure he has every single astral spell in the game here, if I'm not mistaken. So this guy, really what you're going to want from him, you're kind of going to want to pick and choose. So if you want Vengeance, you'll take Vengeance. If you want Amplify, you're going to train Amplify. What this guy has is he also has all the Azteca spells. He literally has every single astral spell in the game. So if you are max level and watching this video, I highly recommend coming over to this guy. If you haven't learned any of these spells right now, this is definitely the best time to do it. You got Mend, you got, you know, every Azteca aura, all of the what's it called, enchant spells are here as well. And he also sells the final, God, why do I keep pressing that button? He also sells the final spell in the Sun School enchantment line. He sells Epic, which is the plus 300, which is obviously the upgrade from Colossal, which you get in Zafaria. So you get this upgrade way later down the line, but you can only actually get it from Q-Burn, and then another spell that's actually, another 2 spells that are actually really, really good to have are Aegis and Indemnity. Basically, if a boss has like a cheat that removes blades or spells, or if someone casts Enfeeble on you, these spells will protect you. So, I don't know, obviously you can't feint like Malistaire or like Shadow Malistaire in Darkmoor, so if you place an Indemnity on a feint, it will take away the protection spell which is on the feint, and your feint will stay, and then you can use that feint. So these spells are really, really useful. I definitely recommend training these guys. These guys, yeah, honestly very, very essential. And then obviously if you want to train any other astral spells, this guy has all of them. If you want Fortify, and then you want to like train up to Brace or something like that, which is obviously the upgraded version, you can do that. If you want to train, literally he just has upgraded versions of all the spells. Literally just has upgraded versions of all the spells. So you can obviously pick and choose what you want, but I told you guys the essentials, and I think there's also one more essential that isn't shown here, which is the upgrade to Berserk. It is called Frenzy right here. So instead of, what it basically does is it reverses the effect. So instead of taking 40% incoming damage, you actually deal 40% outgoing damage, and you only take in 30% incoming damage. So that's really, really good. I highly recommend training in Frenzy as well. Yeah, I think that this is honestly just an awesome spell. I use it a ton, guys. But anyways, there's only one more spell, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, there's only one more spell on this list that I recommend that you get. Obviously, I don't think this one's as essential. So where is the Shadow School teacher? Okay, she's right over here. Velma, you got one spell that's pretty useful, especially for like support schools and everything. She sells all the shadow spells again. She sells, you know, Sentinel, Seraph, blah blah blah. She also sells these ones, which I didn't care to mention in the video because I just don't think they're very good. Honestly, if you guys comment what you think is useful about these spells, because I don't recommend wasting training points on these types of shadow spells. I don't think they're very useful, but there is donate shadow pip. So you give like your shadow pip to someone else. You know, obviously, so if a storm has bugs and he wants to use those bugs, you can donate your shadow pip if you have one to him if he doesn't, and he will get that. So it's really, really useful. I'm actually gonna train this in right now because I actually just think that's really good to have, and I kind of want to have that for later, guys. But a few things to watch out for though when training up your spells is, do not train into a secondary school. So don't train like the entire storm spell list just because you think it gives, you know, better damage than your spells. I highly recommend not doing that, because you're just going to waste all your training points and you're not going to spend them on the stuff that you actually need. So do not train into a secondary school. Another thing, do not train into the Moon School, guys, at all. The Moon School is an astral school that is going to pop up a few times in your wizarding career. Guys, literally just avoid the spells from there. They're so bad. All they do is they just polymorph you into a specific creature, and you get that specific creature's spells. I just don't think they're very good. I mean, you could argue with me in the comments as to why you think moon spells are good. I don't know, guys. They're not very useful to me, and I don't think they're very useful to other people. There's a reason why you don't really see a lot of people using those spells. They're just not very useful to me. So those are 2 things to watch out for. 2 things definitely not to spend your training points on. But anyways, guys, that's really going to be it for this video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. You could leave a like if this helped you, or subscribe for more content like this in the future, guys. I post Wiz all the time. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video in general, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure to hit up my Discord server down below, because I actually recently opened that. So anyways, that's a lot of fun, so you should join. But anyways, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I really hope you guys did enjoy. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace out, and enjoy the rest of your quarantine.